The world of woke.
Have you ever wondered what happened to the old toaster you threw out last year? Or the sandwich maker you got last Christmas and gave up on by the summer? You might think you just left it to the men working at the local dump to dispose of it in some kind of environmentally friendly way. Well, the chances are you'd be wrong, because most of the old discarded electrical goods that find their way through the recycling system don't actually get recycled at all. That's right, they mostly end up in landfill. So when you got in your car, drove all the way to the dump and carefully placed the old telly in the bit where it's marked electrical goods, you were actually done. And the bad news is the net zero recycling con is about to get much worse. Thanks to DEFRA, that's the Department for Environment, Food and Rural Affairs, there's a new plan afoot. They want electrical retailers to take back all old electrical goods, even if they didn't sell them to you. And they'll have to do it by law. The government says this new toaster tax is necessary to keep the old gadgets and gizmos from cluttering up the environment. But in truth, the policy might well create more fly tipping and dumping of the very goods in unauthorised places. Helen Dickinson from the British Retail Consortium says the new policy could cost companies £1 billion or more every single year, which of course they would pass on to the consumer. So that's bound to increase the price of everything they sell. Another unintended consequence of the new policy could be that shops like Boots simply stop selling anything electrical to save themselves the trouble of being forced to collect your old washing machine. The whole thing sounds insane, doesn't it? And it's hardly in keeping with what Rishi Sunak promised to do, which was to take a more pragmatic approach to net zero targets and even avoid some of the more nutty EU ideas. Well, I'm afraid this is one of them. As you might imagine, the plans are opposed by all the major high street retailers, not least because of the bit that would force them to collect your old white goods just because you bought a coffee machine. They're also likely to be ordered to pick up things that you might have ordered online. Once again, handing the win to those who don't pay for shops' premises you can actually visit. More proof that the recycling business is complicated, difficult, and more than likely misused at every stage. Net zero, the reality, is starting to look like a nightmare. Someone sensible needs to end it now.
The world of woke.
So the panel is still with me. See, that's another mad story from Net Zero. Unintended consequences of saying, if you bought, for example, any kind of item from Boots, say you bought, I don't know, a curling iron or something, you could make them come and take away your old washing machine. And they're going to go, well, I'll tell you what, we're not going to sell the curling iron then.
Well,
exactly. We have such a problem with this. So much stuff is kind of, you can't ever fix it. Something goes wrong with your washing machine. Oh, no, you know, it's completely redundant. You can't change that part. You want to chuck it out and buy another one, love.
Right.
So then you're basically putting a washing machine that's 1 year old, 2 years old in landfill.
Yeah.
What we need to do is make things fixable. In
Well,
the old days,
good.
you used to be able to open your hairdryer,
Yes.
put in a new fuse, and then put it back together.
Right.
Now you
But
chuck
now
it in the
they'll
bin.
charge you sort of 200 quid to fix it.
Yeah,
you
it's
can
crazy.
buy a new one for 250, right?
Yeah,
So
and that's the problem. Everything's disposable on that,
Yeah,
on that point of view. So
absolutely, yeah.
it's got to go somewhere. The cost is going to filter down, and that's the result of sort of knock-on effect.
Yeah.
But crazy.
Exactly right.